Good morning, it's Mike Zschunke, Berkshire Hathaway Homes and Ship Own Properties in Scottsdale, Arizona. Friday morning market chat, live and unedited. We're going to talk about residential, commercial, the economy. We're going to touch on some industry shakeups and just business in general. First of all, we'll talk about inventory. We had quite a dip this morning. You know, I track these inventory weekly. We'll see the headlines in the news. The media, they track these monthly. We haven't gotten April's statistics yet. Like I always say, statistics tell us where we've been, not where we're going. But anyway, I track inventory and a few other prices and things weekly just so I can give you the updates. Had quite a dip this week in Scottsdale and kind of across the valley, all across Phoenix and Maricopa County. A lot of expireds. We're not going to see it for a few weeks until we see the stats come out. But, you know, I keep a pretty good eye, especially on this local Scottsdale 85259 zip code, 85255, 85254 zip code. And I feel like we're going to see a lot of expired and canceled listings. Now, May 1st, here we are. It's a little bit early for that. We have really until June or July. But like I've said before, the past few years, we haven't really seen that summer dip as much as we have in the past. So it'll be interesting, but I just feel like, you know, it's funny. I track, the ones that are going to expire, and just a little earlier than I expected this year. It's just price. And that's what this week has been, the conversations about price. You know, I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear, I guess. I'm here to give you the facts. And a lot of these conversations this week is just, what is your house worth in today's market? It doesn't matter what you owe on it. It doesn't matter what you bought it for. It doesn't matter what your friend told you. It doesn't matter what your Zillow. It doesn't matter what ChatGPT tells you. Doesn't matter what your uncle's brother's nephew in Missouri told you it's worth. It's what is your property worth in today's market? Residential, commercial. You know, we walked away from a couple listings recently. I'm not going to do it because if we get into it 90 days down the road and we haven't had activity and you don't want to drop the price, it's all about setting expectations ahead of time. So let's have that upfront, personal, honest voice conversation, person in person, texting back and forth a lot. Maybe it sounds like sometimes I'm negative. I'm on your side. But anyway, that's been the conversation this week, is your property is not worth what you think it is. Of course, you've probably done pretty well on it if you bought it in the last few years, but that's that truthful, honest conversation we have to have. Anyway, we had national numbers. March housing starts for builders, and that's the only way we're going to get out of this inventory, is building more inventory. Housing starts for March was up pretty surprisingly, and but permits were down a little bit. Now remember, that's March. That was just going into the conflict in the middle of the East. We had mortgage rates are actually higher than they were now, or they're higher now, but people were hesitant. They thought that was going to be just a quick in and out and over, and then oil prices shot up. So people are now pulling back again, and they're hesitant. So which is fine, but mortgage applications were up 21%, which was interesting. People are out there. People are buying. I read a good stat, or I had a good article this week. 20% of homes, 20% of homes sold within 7 days of being on the market. 20% of the homes sold within 7 days of being on the market. Of that, 29% of those homes that sold in 7 days sold over list price. If you look all in general, all the homes that sold, only 9% sold over list price. So you gotta hit that right. And I've had this conversation, like I said, this week. People say, I want to leave room for negotiations. Well, it's really tough to negotiate the offer that you don't get. My job is to bring you offers, and we want to stay in control. You can always say no. You can get a full asking price offer, and you can still say no. So you're in control. But the goal of listing your house is to get the most eyes on it right away. You have 30 days to sell the property, to get the most eyes on it, and go from there. You can't negotiate the offer that you don't get. I thought that was pretty brilliant. Anyway, Maricopa County article of a lot of money coming into the wealth transfer. And like Ray Dalio said, wealth is not money. Money is something you spend. Wealth is something you accumulate through assets. Buying a house. Anyway, $1.3 billion of wealth of adjusted growth income came into the Phoenix area. To put that in perspective, New York City, twice the population of all of Maricopa County, $50 billion of gross adjusted income left New York City last year. So anyway, a lot of people coming into the Phoenix area. We get calls. What did I see? The Seattle mayor the other day welcomes the billionaires leaving. And we get all our calls come from California, Washington, Oregon, Illinois, New York City. That's people coming from out of state. They're coming for the low taxes. That's 100%. And the sunshine. That's what brought us here, sunshine and lifestyle. But anyway, it was just real interesting, the amount of wealth that's coming to the area. I bring that up because that supports the housing prices. Prices are pretty level, prices. I read an article the other day. It was from a pretty respectable news outlet. They were using February's Case-Shiller index number. Case-Shiller is a 3-month moving average with a 2-month lag. That means they were going back to almost October of last year, and they were just reporting on how the Phoenix housing market has slowed. October, it was a little slow. November, December, January, February, super busy. So, when you look at the headlines, pay attention to what are they looking at? Are they looking at single-family detached homes? Are they looking at condos? All the apartments they've been building in Phoenix? Are they looking in Scottsdale or in a Ocala neighborhood? Or are they looking at just pay attention? It's interesting. And anyway, and who you hire matters. I've been trying to get into a couple properties. They're coming. I know they're coming soon. One agent is awesome to work with. We got to go through it. I've got 2 ready, willing, and able buyers for these properties. One agent, we're probably going to make an offer on. The other one, just is tough to communicate with, doesn't answer their phone. My buyer's ready to go, but we can't get in it. So anyway, pay attention. I always say a good test before you hire the agent that's listing your house. Give them a call. Give them a little leeway because they might be on another call. But if they don't get back to you right away, move on. Get another agent. Like I said, my phone's always in my pocket or my hand. I do sleep a little bit, not a whole lot, but give me a call. I'll answer. It's interesting. So anyway, commercial. Had transaction volume for commercial real estate was up 20% year over year for the first quarter. All commercial real estate. 2025 was kind of stabilizing in the commercial real estate market. 2026, we've got momentum now. So if you waited to buy that investment property until everything was certain, you missed the boat. There's risk reward with uncertainty. So if you're looking for that commercial building, that investment, the money's out there. They've got to deploy capital. These funds, these investor groups, they've got to put their money to work. And we're seeing that now. Everybody kind of sat back on the sidelines in 2025, 2026. The money's out there. They're making deals. Firms up prices go up. It's just supply and demand like anything. So anyway, Metro Phoenix had the strongest quarter of industrial investment sales on record. And that all goes back to, I keep saying it, I know I sound like a broken record. It goes up to that TSMC factory and the amount of companies moving to the valley. It's an attractive business state, Arizona. And they have good pool of employees, talented employees. So it's there. There's a state land auction, Desert Ridge along 101 there, 293 acres, LLC out of, a lot of the commercial deals are LLCs, and they're hard to find who's actually buying the property. This is an LLC, a Delaware LLC. I kind of have an idea who it is, but they're going to develop mixed use, 293 acres, Desert Ridge and Cave Creek Road, kind of that area. So that's that 101 again, Banner Health, Honor Health. I say it all the time. Mesa Airport, it's booming right around there. East Mesa. East Mesa is pretty. Who knew that there were going to be $5-6 million homes in East Mesa? They're out there. They're super nice. It's beautiful. If you ever hiked out in the Superstitions, it's beautiful out there. So that surrounding area is really going. Buckeye's kind of flat. It's gotten kind of flat. I think maybe it's gotten oversaturated with builders, but we don't get out there a whole lot. We had the land expire because it was priced too high. The sellers didn't want to lower the price, and that's 100% fine with me. So I'm here to help you, to guide you and advise you. I'm not here to sell you anything. Rely on my experience and my expertise. That's all I can say. But we do have a commercial building coming up soon on Roosevelt Row. We've got to get some documents signed today. It's super cool, either investment property or right now it's a hair salon downstairs and an apartment upstairs. We're going to be listing that with a friend of mine, Tara, pretty soon here. And just a super cool building, Roosevelt Row. You know, I spent some time in Chicago when I worked on the Board of Trade in the late 90s. And it reminds me of like that brownstone, old town Chicago area. And Roosevelt Row is pretty active. It's a neat little area. I've been spending more time and learning more about the area. But yeah, so if you're looking for that, it's going to be right around $1 million. So if you're interested, I think 1.1 actually. But make us an offer. Let us know. Let's figure out what we've got to do to make it work. My clients have an asset to sell, and you want to buy it. Let's figure it out. Pick it up. Have the conversation. Economy. Fed left rates unchanged. That's what everybody wants to talk about. Jerome Powell. Fed won't lower rates. Well, Jerome Powell doesn't really set the rates. He's one man of a 12-member. And think about it, you know, they started cutting rates back in September of 2024. 10-year note and mortgages are significantly higher than they were before the Fed started cutting rates. That doesn't matter to you and I. That's overnight lending rate between banks. That's what the Fed funds rate is. Consumers, we've had great economic data come out this week. You had initial jobless claims, 189,000. That's the lowest since the 1960s. We had GDP up 2%. That's perfect. Slow, steady growth. 2% GDP is awesome. Personal income up 0.6%. That's good. Consumer spending. People are still spending. Everybody bitches and moans about how expensive things are. Maybe I should reverse that. But live and unedited, everybody complains about how expensive things are, but yet they're still going out and spending money on these. That creates inflation. As long as they're spending and there's money out there, there's that inflation risk. There's no need to cut rates. And it'll be interesting. Everybody wants to blame Chairman Powell for the 40% increase in money supply and $18 trillion in government debt. That's not the Federal Reserve. There's fiscal policy and monetary policy. We always go back to that. Fiscal policy is the Federal Reserve Bank. They control interest rates through liquidity by buying and selling bonds through the Atlas, on the balance sheet, on the Fed balance sheet. The U.S. Treasury, they're the ones that control the national debt. They're raising, lowering taxes. So it's not Powell's fault. And I used to think Powell was pretty wimpy. I've said it before. I commend him for sticking to his guns. Anybody who can talk and prove what they have to say and stand by what they think is correct, whether right or wrong, anybody who can stand by it and prove to it with facts, I fully respect that. So good job, Powell. Anyway, Warsh coming in. I don't think he's going to make a big of a difference. You know, people think, is he going to be influenced by the president? I don't know. It's a 12-member board, and there's a lot of mixed feelings now. We had 4 dissidents in that's 4 that didn't agree with the Fed decision last week. But anyway, it all comes down to earnings. What did Ray Dalio say? You know, I stick on Ray Dalio because I learned a lot from him. He's a good guy, and if the first day I walked into Bridgewater Associates, he and I walked in together. We didn't have the internet back then. I didn't know who he was. I would have thought he was a homeless person walking in with me. Then I sit down to talk to him and interview. Hey, Ray Dalio. So never judge a book by its cover. You never know how much money somebody's got. You never know somebody's intentions. Just be nice to everybody. Always leave your door open. Don't burn bridges. We're getting a little long here, but I do want to mention real quick because some of you asked about the headlines. There's some industry consolidation with the big boys up, the big players. I guess I can't say big boys in this world, but the big players in the real estate brokerage. There's, like I've said before, there's very few very big players. You probably don't even know the names. They're talking about consolidating. It's really real estate data. It's not about the brokerage you're with. A lot of my clients don't even know that I'm with Berkshire Hathaway. I think Berkshire Hathaway name opens a lot of doors. I think they have great tools and a great network. That's what I stick with them. And we want to be, Berkshire has come out recently in, not an argument, but in kind of in defense of these big brokerage firms. which they are one of the top 5, I think the top 3 or 4, but we want to be the boutique firm, the boutique feel with the large network. So I think it fits perfectly. It makes sense to me. There's always been, and the big firms, they just want your data. Big data has discovered that buying and selling real estate gives out a lot of personal information. It's my job to protect your information. You won't see me posting a lot online. You'll never see me dancing in front of a house. But, we want to protect our clients' privacy. A lot of what we do is off market, and just our clients request that privacy. And that's the service that we provide. But where was I going? I don't know. There's kind of 2 ways to do business. You can do high volume, low personality, low volume, more personal. I prefer, I want to know your kids' birthdays. I want to know your kids' anniversary. I've been invited to wedding. I've been invited to what's it called? Minister? I should know that, what it's called. I've been invited to perform a wedding of clients. That's the relationship that I want to have. Real estate always is and always will be a relationship business. Everybody wants to be the Purtle online, click, 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 click in today's society. Dealing with my father now with medical, he doesn't have any idea what a portal is. Try and tell 1/3 of the population is elderly. I'm going to say elderly. I can say baby boomers, but then you'll give me a hard time. But 1/3 of the population is of a higher age. They don't want to deal with portals. They don't want to do it. I had one client last year. He's passed away since then. Awesome guy. I had to go knock on his door. He didn't want a text. He didn't want a phone call. He didn't want an email. That's 1/3 of the population. If you're building your business as a real estate agent just to be offline, click, 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 you're missing out on 1/3 of the business. And I don't know. This is not the way I do it. It's up to you how you want to run your business. Don't pay attention to all the noise out there. But anyway, thanks for watching. I want to thank you for your questions and comments. That's how this is supposed to be interactive. I know I can't read them real quick because I'm old, but please keep sending the question and comments. I'm thinking about doing like a YouTube. I don't want to do a podcast because everybody does a podcast these days, but maybe I'll do like a live YouTube on the weekend or something, just interactive. Send me a question. Send me your comments. These are for you. Let me know what you want to hear. What do you want to know? What's the weather like? What's up? Where to go hiking? Where to go to biking? If it has to do with real estate, all the better. So anyway, give me a shout. These are for you. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Give me a shout. 203-733-5877. Got a super busy weekend, and be smart, be safe, have a great day, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.